Hey, 7th graders, Mr. Eller here with another one of our flip lessons. Today we're going to be working on soaps and documents, so we should have this chart cut out and put in page number 6 in our interactive notebook. Should be relatively simple, straightforward. We got a meaning part that we're going to put here. We've got some fill in the blanks over here for questions we need to ask. All right, and if any time we get a little bit ahead of you, remember the pause button is your friend. All right, here we go. Get out of the way. Oop, we went way too far here. All right, there we go. So today we are talking about soaps. Soaps is something that we're going to use to read primary source documents. And we'll talk a little bit about the difference between primary and secondary source documents later on in the week. But it's a technique that really, honestly, if you understand this year is going to be very, very, very simple for you. All right, so what does our S stand for? Our S stands for our source, and our source matters. Kind of as you look at that cartoon, it says, what do you mean all my facts are wrong? I copied everything straight off the internet. Your source matters. Now, sometimes you are going to read the source of a document and you're not going to recognize the name. It could be John Smith or Elizabeth Smith or something like that, and you have no idea who that is. But sometimes it could be George Washington, and some bells should be going off. It could be Abraham Lincoln. It could be Alexander Hamilton. It could be Frederick Douglass, Susan B. Anthony, Elizabeth Cady Stanton. Something that is going to let you know that this person is important. It's going to give you information, right? Because if you're reading something about George Washington, you're probably not going to expect him to talk about, how his day was, or what's his favorite show to watch on Netflix or whatever. Probably going to talk about something either be to do with the American Revolution or something about being with the first president, because that's what he was. That's what he was known for. All right, and that's going to help you make sense of what you're reading. It's going to help you with kind of some pre-reading. So when you go to find the source, you got to ask yourself two questions. All right, first question is, who created the document? Who was the author of this source? All right, and again, sometimes you're going to be able to see it, and it's going to be like, oh, I know who that person is. Sometimes you're not, but sometimes they'll give you like a little clue. So they may say John Smith, a patriot, or they may say Maggie Jones, a suffragette, or something like that. That's going to give you a little clue on who that person was. The other thing you got to look at is what kind of document are we studying? Is it first we got to check, is it a primary source? Primary source, let's soaps it. Secondary sources can be soaps, but it's a little bit tricky. Then look, is it a letter? Is it a diary entry? Is it a advertisement? What is the point of this document? And that's going to help you make some more sense of it as well. Our occasion, all right? I'm sure you've heard of this before. If you've ever heard somebody say, oh, it's a special occasion, like, I don't know, your birthday. The date matters, okay? So if you're looking at a document and you're saying, oh, 1776, that's pretty important. That's right around when we declared independence. Or, September 11th, 2001. Oh, that's right around the terrorist bombings in New York City. Some dates are going to stick into your head. Some dates may not. It may be years. Like if you look at 1863, oh, we're in the middle of the Civil War. Or 1789, oh, we're making the Constitution, that type of stuff. Okay, so when you're going to look at this, you're going to try to think of when was the document take place. So first, who, next, when. Okay, what is the document's context? What is its time and place? When was this document created? Because if it's created in 1787, you shouldn't expect it to talk about things that happened today. All right, if it was created in today, you wouldn't expect it to talk about things that happened in 1787. So occasion is important, time and place. Audience, all right? Really, really straight, simple, okay? Who the document was created for. Now, this is important, and you guys live this kind of every day. Think about yourself in class, and you're passing a note, and the teacher finds it. Was the teacher the audience for that note? No, they were not. So what happens? All the students, oh no, they weren't supposed to read that, because if you knew the teacher was going to read it, you probably wouldn't have written certain things in there that you didn't want the teacher to know, or use certain words that you knew the teacher you would get in trouble for, because you're not supposed to use those words in school. Same thing happens with primary source documents. If we're writing a letter to somebody, we don't expect anybody else to read it. So we may talk about things that we're comfortable talking with only that person. If we're writing a journal, we don't expect anybody else to read it. So we're only going to be writing things that we are comfortable putting down. Okay? If we're creating an advertisement, we're going to try to sell that to somebody. All right? So the audience or who the document was created for. So if you look at our questions, we're going to ask ourselves, what kind of document, when, and who? Those are our 3 questions so far. Purpose, okay? Our purpose is going to be, now, back in the day, when you sat down to write these letters, these guys and girls are writing handwritten, in cursive, using quill pens, 5 to 10 page letters. They are thinking this through. This isn't just, oh, I feel like doing a letter today. This is what I'm gonna sit down. This is what I'm write about. This is what my purpose. So we talked about our what. We talked about our who. We talked about our what. When. We talked about who it's for. Now we're talking about our why. Why was this document created? And our purpose, we're gonna get it. It doesn't make sense, but we really, instead of having soaps, we really should have SOSP. The subject should come first, before the purpose, but we'll talk about that. When you think about the purpose, this is the hardest thing for 7th graders to grasp. What does the author think about the subject? So, if your document is a letter from George Washington to Alexander Hamilton about the government, your purpose is going to be, what does George Washington, who's the source, think about the government? What is he trying to tell Alexander Hamilton? That's what you're going to be your purpose is, why the document was created. Subject. What is the main idea of the document? All right, this is your what. Okay, so we got kind of our who, we got kind of our when, we've got our, another who, we got our why, now we've got our what. The subject is what is the main idea of the document. Now I put the math and all that stuff. Don't confuzzle it, okay? I do not want to see sentences on your vocab foldable that say something like, oh, my favorite subject in school is social studies. That's not the subject. That's not the context of the classroom. What is the main idea of the document? So what are they trying to say? Lots of times you can get this without really reading the document, with looking at the clues, okay? Looking at a headline if it's an article, looking at who it's written to, looking at the source material. Lots of times this is given to you. All right, and then finally, what is the document about? Okay, if you can't, main idea, I'm stumped, I don't know. All right, just tell me what it's about. What is this document about? Is it about the government? Is it a political document, social document, geographical document? All right, give us something about what the document is about. All right, that has it. That's our flip lesson for today on SOAPs. We are going to be spending a lot of time on this. This is a skill that we need to have in this classroom because we're going to be looking at a lot of primary source documents. So if this is something that is still confuzzling after today, make sure you're hitting on Quizlet to study our vocabulary, and make sure when you're in class, you're finding myself, maybe Miss McGuigan, or a helpful student that knows SOAPs to help you out, because if you do not SOAPs document, this class is going to be a struggle. Allard out.